Hey everyone, Mr.Hunter here. I'm going to do a drawing today, just kind of how to draw Bruno from Encanto, and I'm just going to go through the steps of how I do a sketch, and it's just meant to be a quick sketch here, so I always take a little longer than expected, and so I do a little light sketch drawing here of, I'll move the camera over a little bit, of the outline of his face, and he's got his hand over here, which is holding his friend, the little mouse, and so we'll try to draw that guy in. The mouse is about the height of his eye line, so his eye should be right about where the height of the mouse is, going across here, the bottom of the eyes. So kind of roughly there. Now I always draw very lightly at the beginning because I'm just trying to figure out my spacing. A drawing, when you're drawing after a cartoon, it's always about, well, for any drawing for that matter, you're trying to draw something that looks like it. It's all about the spacing, the relationship between the features that you're trying to draw. So to make it look like the person or thing, you have to have the right measurements. And that means the spacing between. So he's got a nice big smile here. And when you do your drawing, if you look at mine right now, does it look like him? No, it's not looking very much like him at all. And it won't start to look like him until later. And when we did Mirabelle, it didn't look like her for a while. It took a while before it kind of shaded things and it started to kind of look like her as we went. So it does take time to get that look, and it doesn't just, you can't get it right at the beginning. You have to wait and just keep adding little touches here and there. So you have to be patient. You have to wait and keep working away. Otherwise we get frustrated and then you don't want to do it. Or don't crumple up your paper, because there's always a good part of the drawing you can learn from it, even if it doesn't quite look like the character. You might be surprised in how much it actually does look like them as you go back and look at it after a break. It's good to take breaks when we do drawings too, because then you kind of refocus your eyes on what details you're looking at. So I'm looking at the spacing between the eyes. This eye falls a little lower, so to make this a little lower, and he's kind of got these bags under his eyes. It's kind of these extra lines that go around his eye socket there, and so that's a feature of him. Like he hasn't had much sleep, and his eyebrow goes up a little higher here. And I'll add in his second hand later. I'm just going to get the facial features kind of in place. He's got this little curve here, and that kind of goes down more. And I'm just doing around the nostril, his nose, and it's like a different shading through here. And you want to draw lightly, because if you realize it might be a good line that you made, like it looks good, but then in relation to other things on the face, other features like these little curves I'm doing for his smile, it might not be the right spot. And if you pencil it in too hard, then you can't erase it, or it will damage the paper. So try to avoid that frustration. And when you draw teeth, you don't actually want to draw each individual tooth. If you do that, it will kind of look like they're marbles or little stones or chiclets. And so you want to just do the outside edge, the shadowy edge. What I'm doing there is a shadow of his nose. So I kind of put a line where the shadow gets darker. There's a little bit of glare. So I'm just shading in his mouth here. That's his tongue, kind of sticking up. So I'll shade it in a little bit more around his tongue, because it's still shadowy where his tongue is, but it's not as shadowy or dark as the inside of his mouth. And we'll go back up to his eyebrow here. Kind of like that. And he's got like a lot of darkness around the edging of his eyes, so big eyebrows. He's got this little bit of a scruffy kind of beard. So I'm going to take a little pause here, and I'll continue in just a moment.
Would be promised and someday be mine. He told me that my power would grow like the grapes that thrive on the vine. He told me that the man of my dreams would be just out of reach. He told to another. Hey sis, I want not a sound out of you. I can hear him now. Yeah, about that Bruno. I really need to know about Bruno. Give me the truth and the whole truth, Bruno. He's a better, your boyfriend here. Time for the end. Take my way and take my way. And he promised that time in the fires aloud in the sky. He told me that my power was brown. He joined the story of life. Was in my life on his way. He was in his way. When he turned
Alright, so we heard a little bit of Bruno in the other clip there. And I'm going to shade in a little bit more of his hairline. Kind of makes it look a little bit more like him. That's one the big part when we did Mirabelle. It really kind of grounds the character, because you see their hair is such a big part of the way they look. You can see it, you can identify them a little bit better. So when we're drawing an eye, there's always a little highlight, and that's what I just drew, those little circles there. And the inside part is the pupil, so I'm going to shade in the pupil. And then the lighter part on the outside is the iris. So you do that a little bit lighter. And then it really comes together. Alright, so we're going to start, I want to start getting into the other parts here. We're trying to finish this up. It's getting to be a little longer than I wanted. Something when you do a good drawing, it takes time, and if you're trying to do it quickly, you're going to sacrifice some of the good details. So I'm trying to do as best I can to keep those details, and doing lips here, and just putting a little bit of a shading on his lips, and keeping his tongue darker than the front teeth, but the shadows to the edges are darker. A little bit of scruff underneath his lips here. There we go. And yeah, like I said, we're getting close to our time, so I'm just going to try to shade it in here on his neck. We might not be able to get his little mouse friend here done quite as well, but I'll get his hand in here real quickly. Going off page here, you can't quite see. I'll move it back up. You can see there's his hand. And his other hand over here, his shoulder kind of pops out here, and it's in sunlight, so it's really bright. And then palm of his hand. Get the little mouse friend here. There we go. So we got his little friend in here. We got the palm of his hand kind of drawn in, and we'll just kind of quickly, and we'll stop in just a moment here, and we'll turn it over. I think you will have Miss Thorough. I'm not sure if she's here yet. She'll be here in a moment, I'm sure.
I am.
Oh, terrific!
You're drawing as oh my gosh. Is that with a dot cam, Mr. Hunter?
That's right. So I'm just going to pause it here. I'm doing a little recording because I like to kind of let us be able to go back and watch if they want on their own time. And so just it's kind of turned into a race just to finish it up here. So I'm just going to leave it there. Maybe I'll work on it later, and I'll do a final little pick of the way it turned out. So, so we're just trying to finish up the Bruno drawing, getting close here, and there's some little things off. That's okay. We're just doing the best we can, trying to make it look like him, and have some fun making it at the same time. And I'm just going to darken up some of these lines here around his hair, and that will make it kind of like the Mirabelle drawing. We want to make it stand out a little bit more. We add a little more darker contrast. That's the thing about cartoons. That's how it really stands out with a cartoon, is those lines, dark line shadows. And the spacing, of course. That's all about the spacing. So if it doesn't look like the character, it's probably because there's some spacing between the eyes, or the way the size of the nose, or the cheeks, the relation to each other. So I'm always trying to look over those aspects of the drawing to make it a little more accurate. And the other tricky thing is that this is a computer-generated image versus a pencil drawing, so that's going to be hard to match it exactly. There's going to be a lot of differences because they use color and form. We have form and line. And just going to work a little bit on the hands here, and I'm going to call it because we can keep going and going. Can always make this look better. There's lots of little mistakes, and that's okay. That's the thing, when you do a drawing, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's about the process of creating it, having fun, seeing how close you can make it look like it without taking too long. I like this cool poncho he has. Bruno's such an interesting character. Kind of like the hidden star of the show. They don't talk about him. But really, it's all about him, in a way, coming back together. Don't forget Mirabelle, of course. It's all about her, too. You can't even see what I'm drawing here. I'm doing his sleeve, so I'm trying to shade in the sleeve a little bit, make this look a little more shadowy, stand out. And I'm just finishing up, putting a little bit of some line to kind of close in his shoulders here. Some context to what is going on with this hand. like I say, you can keep going and going. I'm going to stop about here. So let's do a little bit of darkening around his hair. And his eyes. Alright, we're going to stop there, I think. It's like I say, you can keep going and going. Now let's put a little bit of shadow here. A little bit of a spot for the little mouse guy there. Disney mice are always real fun. They're kind of a special thing, so I'm going to back it up so you can see a little bit better. There he is! Bruno! We don't talk about him, we're talking all about him. So it's all about Bruno. Maybe that'll be the sequel. What will Bruno do next? Alright, hope you enjoyed. Bye everybody.